Good afternoon, and thanks to all of our witnesses for appearing today. The Emerging Threats and Capabilities Subcommittee meets today to receive testimony on the posture of our Special Operations Forces. Gentlemen, thank you all for your continued service to this great country and for being with us today. Your testimony will play an important role in this committee's work to ensure our special operators have what they need to be successful on the battlefields of today and in the future. The global security environment our nation faces is increasingly complicated and dangerous. China's unprecedented military buildup poses a lasting threat to our national security and global stability. Radical Islamic terrorists remain intent on killing Americans, and narco-terrorists operating in our hemisphere control international trafficking networks that poison our communities with deadly drugs. At the forefront of our nation's efforts to combat these threats are the men and women of Special Operations Command, who operate every day, often in distant locations far from their loved ones, to keep America safe. We have also seen the inspiring courage and unmatched skill of our special operators in the daring raid to capture indicted dictator Nicolas Maduro from his heavily fortified compound, and the successful rescue of the downed American pilot from a mountaintop in Iran. I look to our witnesses today to provide the committee with their assessment of the challenges facing the special operations community and describe how they are training, equipping, and posturing their forces to succeed. Those of us on this committee must match that commitment by providing robust, sustained, and predictable funding, as well as flexible and responsive authorities that reflect an evolving security environment. Lastly, and most importantly, I want to talk about the greatest capability in SOF, our special operations men and women. As the first SOF truth says, humans are more important than hardware. That's why I've been so supportive of the Preservation of the Force and Families initiative. POTF has been instrumental in taking care of the physical, mental, and spiritual needs of our operators and their families. POTF truly is a readiness builder for the force. I look to our witnesses to describe how they're using POTF and other programs to ensure our troops and their families get the support they need. I'd like to note for the members, if we need to move into a closed hearing following, we can do that. I do not anticipate that need right now. We will try and keep everything in an open session. So again, thank you so much for being here, and I now turn to Ranking Member Senator Slotkin for her opening comments.
Thank you, Senator Ernst. I know we shocked you by having two senators show up early to a hearing, and I will shock you again by having very similar remarks to my chairwoman here. Thank you for what you do every day for the 72,000 folks in Socom. I am keenly aware that you're being asked to do more missions than ever, and that the missions are requiring us to think differently and more dynamically about what we need, particularly technology. As the chairwoman said, we're in the middle of this war in Iran. We're watching our adversaries use cheaper and more commercially available technology against us that's resulting in the death of U.S. forces, the tracking of U.S. forces in new ways, and asking folks like the Ukrainians to come help us train on things like counter-drone technology. We know that, that you all often have more flexible authorities. You often have leaders in SOCOM who are thinking differently about acquisition, about the use of new tools. Would love to hear particularly how you're thinking about the future of special operations and technology, because I think that's a very hot topic for many of us. Lastly, I'll just say, please pass along our thanks to everyone who works for you. We are aware of the push that is going on right now for you all to be in the lead in many places. We appreciate that work, and I yield back.
Thank you, Ranking Member. And yes, I want to echo that as well. Thank you again to our witnesses for being here, and for your senior enlisted leaders. Thank you for your presence as well and your support. We appreciate all of you and your teams. And we will start now with opening remarks, and you will be recognized for 5 minutes each. And because I am the chairman, I will take the prerogative of having the Army go first. So Lieutenant General Ferguson, you're recognized for 5 minutes of remarks.
Thank you, ma'am. Chairwoman Ernst, Ranking Member Slotkin, and distinguished members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity today to represent the remarkable men and women of the United States Army Special Operations Command. I'm honored to join my fellow component commanders today as we testify on behalf of the world's premier Special Operations Forces. Our Army Special Operations formation represents less than 10% of the Army and is resourced by less than 1% of the Army budget. Similarly, we constitute about 16% of U.S. Special Operations Command's budget and roughly half of its people. For such a small investment, Army Special Operations provide an outsized return. Our core mission is to generate combat-credible Army Special Operations soldiers and formations capable of operating in deep and denied areas in support of the Army and the Joint Force. To do this, we assess, select, train, and equip some of the top talent the Army has to offer and provide them to geographic combatant commands to execute the full range of special operations. Our people are creative and audacious by nature, employing and adapting current tools and skills to meet the challenges and missions they face today. Simultaneously, they envision and integrate the advanced capabilities that will define tomorrow's fight. Events over the past 5 months clearly demonstrate that while special operations comprise a small percentage of our military, both in size and cost, we continue to play a key role in enabling our Joint Force partners and allies to deliver strategic effects for the nation. Our global disposition, generational relationships, and regional alignment routinely place us at the tip of the spear, and what we witness there drives my primary concern. Only sustainable, predictable, timely, and consistent funding will allow us to transform and modernize quickly enough to face the rapidly evolving threats we will encounter on tomorrow's battlefields. Our people, the Army's finest, remain our competitive advantage, and it is our mandate to ensure they are organized, trained, and equipped to win both today's and tomorrow's fight. That mandate drives our transformation efforts and further fuels my concern for appropriate resourcing going forward to adapt to the threats our adversaries will present. In closing, I want to assure you that we are dedicated to our core mission. Your Army's Special Operations Forces are strategically ready, generating warfighting capabilities and asymmetric advantages for crisis response, cooperation, competition, and for conflict, both today and in the future. Thank you for the opportunity to testify and for your continued support to the Army's Special Operations Forces. I look forward to your questions and working together as we defend our great nation and care for our remarkable soldiers and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Lieutenant General Conley, you are recognized.
Chairwoman Ernst, Ranking Member Slotkin, distinguished members, thanks for this opportunity for Command Chief Freeman and I to represent the more than 21,000 airmen of Air Force Special Operations Command. My thanks to your committee for the continued support. I'm honored for the opportunity to be up here today with my Socom teammates, and I look forward to your questions in this session and any additional questions if we require a closed session. I'll be direct. In the last 5 months, AFSOC executed the 2 largest presidentially directed deployments in our 36-year history, while also maintaining a persistent operational tempo across 5 other geographic commands. From the first island chain to Iran and from South America to the Arctic, Air Commandos are defending the homeland and fighting for America's interests abroad alongside our joint teammates and allies. Late last year, from a cold start, we deployed the vast majority of our CV-22 fleet from our operational squadrons, our schoolhouse, even staff members from my headquarters, along with a large contingent of MC-130s to multiple locations in just days, not weeks. Less than 2 months later, your air commandos were needed again for another major operation. As the world recently witnessed, AFSOC was instrumental in bringing home our Air Force teammates. As our airmen and SOF partners know, leaving an American behind is non-negotiable. Simultaneously, our MQ-9 enterprise proved that adaptive airmen can transform any platform's mission envelope, destroying hundreds of targets in contested operating areas. I believe recent operations have been the MQ-9 community's finest hour. We delivered all of this while receiving less than 0.5% of the Air Force budget and a proportional part of the U.S. Socom budget, which collectively represents only about 2% of the overall defense budget. Without a doubt, AFSOC provides an outsized return on investment for America. But here's the reality. Over the last 5 years, flat budgets forced hard choices. We've realized more than a $1 billion reduction to our budget, which slashed modernization investment by nearly 40%. We've divested 84 aircraft, prioritizing the retirement of legacy platforms that couldn't meet future operational demands, and have committed to reductions affecting an additional 31 combat platforms. These decisions reflect our commitment to fiscal responsibility, retiring what we can't afford to modernize. However, we've now reached an inflection point. More than 1/3 of our fleet has been reduced while demand continues to rise. Further divestments will directly translate into missions we cannot execute. We invest heavily in training our airmen. AFSOC training is difficult, lengthy, and costly. We cannot mass produce air commandos, nor can we afford to lose their critical combat experience and ingenuity. Broad Air Force manning shortages have created an environment where units manned at 80% are considered healthy. For AFSOC, this means our airmen are being asked to achieve 100% mission success with a 20% personnel deficit. And while our air commandos are resilient, they are not invincible. Sustained excellence requires sustainable investment, equipping air commandos to operate at the pace and scale our nation demands. So on behalf of Air Commando Nation and our families, Chief Freeman and I thank you for your continued support. Your commitment to our people enables us to succeed in the most challenging environments and deliver anytime, any place, anywhere.
Thank you, sir. Major General Huntley, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairwoman Ernst, Ranking Member Slotkin, and distinguished committee members, thank you for this opportunity and thank you for your enduring support. I'm honored to represent MARSOC, especially as we celebrate our 20th anniversary. We meet at a pivotal moment. Today's threat environment is shaped by state adversaries, violent extremists, and criminal networks who are more aligned, capable, and active across all domains than ever before. Against this, MARSOC's mission is clear: deliver Marine SOF to defend a homeland, deter aggression, and fortify global networks. We reinforce SOF asymmetric value across the spectrum of conflict. For 20 years, we have delivered outsized strategic value. Less than 5% of Socom, 2% of the Marine Corps. We execute nearly 10% of Socom's operational missions at 2% of its budget, an unmatched return on investment. We face 3 primary challenges going forward. First, deter gray zone adversaries and prepare for large-scale conflict. Second, confront blurring lines between state and non-state threats. And third, adapt to the acceleration of autonomy and multi-domain fusion, which are converging and reshaping the character of warfare. To address these challenges, MARSOC ensures readiness, forges and preserves the Raider team, and supports enterprise modernization to outpace our adversaries. Our approach is nested within Socom's win, people, and transform lines of effort. To win, we employ multi-domain targeting, deploying Raider teams that synchronize operations, intelligence, and information effects. We layer multidiscipline capabilities to generate these effects, providing options to solve the toughest joint force key operational problems. We further prioritize joint force integration as part of the stand-in force. Our persistent deployments in the first line chain exemplify this approach by concurrently enabling crisis response, counterterrorism, deterrence, and of course, preparation for conflict. Our posture is most heavily weighted within the Indo-PACOM theater in order to deter China and support our regional allies. We also maintain significant investments in CENTCOM and AFRICOM with tailored efforts elsewhere. We adjust these investments based on the strategic priorities and emerging theater requirements. MARSOC's foundation, our foundation is our people, the Raider team, forged by the leadership and expertise of our operators, specialists, and Navy corpsmen. Our disciplined force generation process delivers reliable, lethal, and resilient SOF. Our agile teams support enduring campaigns and respond rapidly to emerging threats. Furthermore, their health and resilience are strong and, frankly, getting stronger thanks to your advocacy for programs like preservation of the force and families. Finally, our imperative is to transform at the speed of the evolving operating environment. We accelerate modernization through operator-driven feedback loops, streamlining research, development, and acquisitions. Our approach is to leverage any sensor for any shooter to support joint force fires and maneuver. This includes modernization of command and control and integrating autonomous systems at the tactical edge. And recent Indo-PACOM exercises highlight the success and the progress of our systematic approach. MARSOC is purpose-built for the nation's challenges. Leveraging 2 decades of counterterrorism success, we provide soft advantage in today's competition and in conflict. MARSOC will continue to win by leveraging our people as our platform and to transform through disciplined modernization to provide layered effects for the joint force. Our future success requires continued partnership with Congress across force preservation, acquisition reform, and training modernization. Your Marine Raiders today remain ready to fight, survive, and thrive in any climb and any place. Thank you again for your unwavering support for our Marines, our sailors, and our families. I look forward to your questions.
Happy 20th anniversary. And Admiral Allman, you are recognized for 5 minutes.
Congresswoman Ernst, Ranking Member Slotkin, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today about the current posture and future of Naval Special Warfare at this critical juncture in our nation's security. Naval Special Warfare's core mission is to deliver maritime-based special operations capabilities from the most strategic locations, spanning seabed to space, to support the fleet and joint force. We are guided by the National Defense Strategy and priorities set forth by U.S. Special Operations Command and the Chief of Naval Operations. Today, our force is balancing significant operational demands in all theaters, while also pursuing an aggressive path of modernization to outpace these evolving threats. Naval Special Warfare's forces are relentlessly driving innovation and experimentation, pairing our experienced operators with engineers in industry and in academia, supported by resourcing specialists to accelerate the fielding of new capabilities. Partner with Socom, we are delivering unmanned surface and undersea systems to generate asymmetric sea denial, challenge our adversaries' capabilities, and improve the joint forces' ability to deliver effects. As we have done for the past 25 years, we also stand ready to defeat terrorist networks that threaten our homeland and interest abroad. The reality is that global security landscape has fundamentally changed. The era of uncontested maritime access is over. We are increasingly challenged by our adversaries' maturing efforts in this domain. We have entered what the CNO calls the maritime century, characterized by contested sea lines of communication, the rise of new naval powers, and the need to protect our critical maritime infrastructure. The United States' blockade of the Straits of Hormuz is a reminder of the global commerce, communication, resources, and military advantage are more closely tied to the sea today than at any point in history. And Naval Special Warfare is uniquely positioned to project focused effects within contested maritime areas. We are also working hand in hand with our generational allies and partners to enhance our capabilities, expand their interoperability within our force, and ultimately capitalize on the proximate access to enable combined operations. Our force, though small in size, delivers outsized strategic impact, comprising just 2.5% of the Navy and 15% of Socom. We are forward-postured, technologically advanced, and able to rapidly transition from competition to crisis if deterrence fails. Our most decisive advantage remains our people. We continue to make significant investments in our assessment and selection processes, a rigorous basic training pipeline, tactical training cycles, and our commitment to maintaining the highest physical and mental readiness of our operators. We also are stalwart about our family support programs, knowing that resilience at the home translates directly to an operator's effectiveness on the battlefield. In closing, Naval Special Warfare stands ready to compete, deter, and win across the full spectrum of operations. With your continued support, including sustained investments in modernization and flexible acquisition authorities, we will ensure the United States maintains its decisive edge in the maritime domain. Thank you for your support, for the opportunity to testify today.
Yeah, thank you very much, gentlemen. And now we will enter into the senators' rounds of questions, and I will start the questions with 5 minutes. And I'd like to start with POTF. This is an issue I've been working with many of your current leaders, former leaders within Socom to make sure that we're optimizing and sustaining SOF readiness, longevity, and performance through these integrated support programs. As the operational tempo and demands on the force continue, we also have the responsibility to ensure that these services are actually reaching the operators and the families who really need them the most. GAO has previously found that access to POTF resources can vary significantly depending on the location and the component, and that SOCOM's allocation model does not always align providers with the areas of greatest demand. As component commanders, you have the closest visibility into how these programs are functioning on the ground across your formation. So with that in mind, where do you still see the greatest unmet demand within POTF, whether that be psychological services, spiritual support, physical rehabilitation, or family care resources? And we'll reverse the order, actually, and Admiral Allman, if we could start with you, please.
Yes, Senator. So I would say that our biggest challenge is probably in the per capita ratio of strength and conditioning and rehabilitation for our operators. That would be number one. And number two, I think we always have a lot of room to make up in our support to the families. I think the biggest area for us, the biggest challenge for us is probably in our West Coast, Southern California teams, somewhat based on the geography and the fact that most families live up to an hour or 90 minutes away from the base. And so it makes it more challenging for them to access some of the support. But like I said, the flatline funding, I feel like we just need to be better in supporting our families in general.
Yes, Senator, thank you for the question. Although I would say I feel pretty good about where we're at right now on the physical side, then to include not only the performance training, but also the physical therapy. The cognitive, I feel good. I feel pretty strong about. If there's one place that we could use more help, that is on the family side. Our experience going all the way back to the early 2000s through now, through multiple deployments, times where we've had very challenging times for the command, to be able to develop and facilitate those informal networks with the families. Not only does it connect the families together, but it connects them to the command and to the command leadership. I place that as invaluable. When times get hard and people are getting injured or we're losing people, those networks have really carried the day. That's where we could use the most help, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. General Conley.
Thank you for the question, Chairwoman. And I appreciate the continued support of POTF. It's incredibly important to the FSOC formation. I'd say I'm largely aligned with my teammates up here, more with families, but each location is a little different, as you mentioned in your question. I'd say we see episodic challenges of manning, some of them, but nothing that concerns me. You know, with a forward-based wing in Mildenhall, which I know you visited recently, and another one over in Okinawa, and split into Yokota and Tokyo. Sometimes the overseas specialties go through cycles where we have a hard time finding contractors to go over there across all the disciplines, but I think generally speaking it's manageable. The one area that I'm challenged with at times, just with reduced budgets, is FSOC is unique from the other components in the sense that we own installations. And so for Hobart Field and Cannon Air Force Base, I have a large support population, folks that are running the facilities on base, maintaining what is a small city. And so sometimes that's lost in translation. POTF is designed for operators, and I fully respect that, but the support people in AFSOC make the machine run. And so trying to thread the needle on making sure our special tactics and our aviators get the level of POTFF support they need from the physical, cognitive domains, but also not leaving teammates behind that need help in different ways.
Great, thank you. And if you could just finish up, General Ferguson.
Yes, ma'am. Very
Wonderful.
quickly,
Thank you.
very similar challenges for us. The one advantage that we do have as being part of the Army is that we do have access to the holistic health and fitness program, and so the Army partners with us in all of our installations to balance out the challenges we have with POTFF. But small installations are where we are challenged also. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Senator Slotkin.
Thanks for being here. A couple of questions. I think what we're watching right now with Iran and sort of always thinking about when it comes to China is the incorporation of new technology. And I really see the AI race as it's not who can invent the coolest tools. It's who can incorporate the coolest tools the fastest. And, as I said in my opening, I'm concerned about some of the ways we've been exposed in recent years and recent months to, an adversary having technology that we're not prepared for and killing us because of it. So can you guys just walk through for me the way that you are, and give me some examples, the way that you're incorporating AI into warfare today? Not as a future thing, but what you as leaders do you see actually being incorporated, and give a little meat on the bones so that we have confidence that even with the budget, which we know you'd like to be larger, that, it's not just about airframes and old school tools, it's the new stuff. So give me some confidence that we're actually meeting the moment on this, and we can just go down the line if that's okay, keeping it brief.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. So we see AI really as a critical tool for cueing human action and then offloading the cognitive burden on human operators and human intelligence professionals that are executing or conducting intelligence assessments based off of the information that's coming in from different systems. So right now, it's not a replacement for human decision making. We do not see it as that at all. Right now, the biggest area in which we are using it within U.S. Army Special Operations Command is within predictive maintenance with our rotary wing aviation fleet. So we've been using it there for several years, and it's proven very valuable in that arena. Another area that we'll continue to do that will continue to get better. With respect to the employment of AI, or artificial intelligence, on the battlefield, the first place we're really looking to employ it is within within processing of ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance information. And in that respect, we see it more as a tool for screening out. That's really the offloading the cognitive burden from the human that's on or in the loop. Eventually, I'm sure that we will want to apply it broader to some of our unmanned systems. But again, we're going to employ the capability in those systems in a way that will offload that cognitive burden on the operator.
Great, thank you. General Conley.
Thank you for the question, Senator. I'll give you just two quick real-world vignettes. I think sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. And since the start of hostilities with Iran, I have a small team that was put together to do something completely different. But on the first day, they realized that our MQ-9s and other aircraft were at risk in a very hostile environment. And they were able to take some smart people, use artificial intelligence tools, and put humans on the loop instead of in the process the whole time, and move top secret, national level intel collect in a process that would take the humans 20 to 30 minutes to get that to a crew, into a cockpit or into a ground control station for an MQ-9 crew. Automated it using AI bots, put it down to a secret level, put it into the cockpit in 2 to 3 seconds from detect. And we have data that indicates that we've saved a lot of aircraft over the last 60 days using that tool just to provide better battlefield situational awareness. The other example I have is our agile process exploit and disseminate tools, where our intel analysts that are looking at full motion video, a very heavy human intensive process, they've been able to use AI again, just smart humans getting together, figuring out solutions in order to proliferate that information across the intel community in seconds rather than what could take hours in normal processes. So we're learning every day, and we're getting better every day.
Great. General Huntley.
Yes, Senator, thank you for that question. In my opening comments, I talked about any sensor and any shooter. We currently have a commitment with a task force within the first island chain. What we're seeing and what we see as a mission requirement going forward, that if we do go to conflict, that our adversary will have a significant scale advantage. So our ability to leverage a variety of sensors, whether they're coming from national technical means, whether they're top secret, or more than likely something coming from our partners, to be able to ingest the data from all those various types, models, and series of sensing platforms, and then put it on the one pane of glass and able to then push it into the Joint Fires Network at the theater level. That's what we're working on very hard right now. And as we go through a series of exercises that Indo-PACOM holds, we are working to progress that. I feel pretty good about the progress we're making. We're not there yet, but we are making progress.
Well, I'm getting, I'm sorry, I've been watching a stopped clock and thinking I just constantly have 1 minute and 21 seconds left. So I've been alerted the old-fashioned way. So if it's okay, if just briefly, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Keep going.
Yes, ma'am, not to repeat any of that. I think we're finding some benefits to the persona targeting and leveraging AI to have a deeper understanding of linkages and networks and expanding the library of potential associates. And then secondarily, I think in the same respects, our own protection of the force, understanding our own potential risks in digital expression, et cetera, leveraging AI as a red cell tool could be an opportunity for us as well to deepen the overall protection and preservation of our forces.
Great. Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you. Senator Budd.
Thank you for yielding me the minute 21 seconds perpetually. Good to see you all again. General Conley, General Ferguson, I want to congratulate you all and thank you all for your work with AFSOC and USASOC's role in recovering the Strike Eagle crew a few weeks back. It was a very significant Easter. Can you talk about the aircraft that you lost in the operation, how critical they are, and how we can replace them? General Conley, start with you.
Thank you, Senator. It's good seeing you again, and thanks for the time in the office call. We lost 2 of our aircraft. In a perfect world, I'd like to get 2 replacements as soon as possible. As we look at my MC-130 fleet globally, we're in high demand. We have permanent aircraft stationed in Japan, so inside the first island chain. We also have our launch pad out of RF Mildenhall with a squadron over there. They are SOCOM's maneuver force. And so, I owe it to the teammates here and their men and women to be able to get them to the place of need in contested environments, in benign environments, whatever the mission is. We're here to support them. The MC-130s don't exist for their own sake. They exist to support the team. And every loss decrements my ability to support them.
Any sticking points in getting them replaced?
It's a little early still. I think it'll take time. I think clearly there's a funding requirement that will be needed to be reconciled, and then it's just a matter of if we can get into the production line in a timely manner. But I'm confident our relationship with our industry partners will get us to yes if the funding's there.
Very good. Thank you, General.
Senator, in all seriousness, I would also like to see my friend General Conley get 2 more airplanes, because as you know, that was the definition of a joint operation. And so the rotary wing aircraft, we lost 4 on that mission, and the 4 rotary wing aircraft we lost, we would not have gotten there had we not had been able to get them there in the MC-130s. And so, no one else on planet Earth could have executed that operation because they don't have the capabilities, they don't have the people to do it. So it's very important for us to get those aircraft replaced. As Mike said, we know SOCOM is working diligently to sort out the methodology to spend the money and get those aircraft replaced. So there is a plan, but it's not going to happen quickly. No, sir.
Thank you. Well, you have our support on that, and just the efforts in that operation just sent a great signal to the warfighting community. Much appreciated. General Huntley, enjoyed seeing you this morning. Thanks for the time. I know you've talked about multi-domain ranges to replicate the modern battlefield. Can you share what you need, where the gap is, where you fall short, sir, and how Congress can help?
Thank you, Senator, for that question, and thank you for the office call this morning. As we look right now, right now a lot of focus on CENTCOM, but really if you look globally at all the operations that SOF and frankly the Joint Force is involved in pretty much every theater right now, the operating environment is evolving very quickly. Even if it's a non-state actor in South America or in Eastern Africa, they're going to have capabilities they didn't have just a few years ago, to say nothing of a peer adversary. The good news is that we are evolving quickly. We need to move faster. But going forward, what I see as probably one of our primary challenges is the time to train. And what's driving the stress on our time to train is that we still need to be able to shoot, move, and communicate and medicate as we always have. But now we have to employ autonomous systems at the tactical edge and higher. AI is coming on very fast. And the tasks for training are compounding very quickly. Right now, as it stands, to be able to do multi-domain training in the collective sense, at least for MARSOC, I have to send our people west of the Mississippi, out to the western desert somewhere in order to do that. The time, the resource that takes puts a significant stress on the force, and it's only getting worse. So right now, if we had ranges that would allow us to do these type of multi-domain operations closer to home station or preferably at home station, that would be a significant help for us, not only going forward and being able to incorporate these new capabilities, but also, maybe as important, if not more important, the stress on the force in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Another question, General Huntley, about MARSOC. You're authorized to have 3,337 billets, yet a recent congressional inquiry revealed that only 2,802 positions are filled, so about 500 short. Is this a concern, and how are you addressing it, and how can we help?
It is a concern, Senator, and thank you for that question. And the preponderance of those pieces of structure that were Marines that we don't have at this time are from high demand, low density MOSs, mostly within the intel communications. Even the Marine Corps has an unmanned systems MOS now that we are lucky enough to have. We're working very closely with the service as they go through their force structure review to make sure that MARSOC prioritization is at a level that facilitates our manning getting a pair level of manning to priority units within the Marine Corps.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Great. We'll go ahead and do a second round of questions as well. And I would like to talk a little bit about acquisition as well. And this is near and dear to all of you. Socom does use SOFWorks. They've done that since 2015. And since then, we have seen the execution of, 1,600 agreements at a cost of $460 million. And it's a pretty strong track record for moving innovation faster. So it's been a great model. But even this really successful model, it is still facing friction. And particularly as SOCOM shifts more from software-defined capabilities, while much of this acquisition system remains built around hardware. So we're seeing growing concerns around vendor lock and proprietary software restrictions. So where do you believe the greatest friction points still exist between identifying an operational need and then actually fielding that capability with your operators? And General Conley, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Senator. I think if I'm candid, the biggest friction point is just the timing on our budgeting processes. So I can operate, if I want something right now, I have to have money left in my budget for this year to put money towards it. And I've probably already have that earmarked against something else. So if it's emerging, it's hard to do. And then, we're building the 28 POM right now. So the next round to get to that consistent funding stream is 3 years from now, 2 years from now. We work in the margins in between, and we have a great relationship with SOFWERX. They do a lot of great things for us. So that's one challenge. The other one is how do you get it and scale it across a fleet of aircraft or across a fleet of special tactics teams. So the scaling transition often becomes a sticky point, but we're better because of SOFWERX. Socom is.
Absolutely. General Huntley?
Yes, Senator. Of course, anything that allows us to incorporate new capabilities quicker. As I said before, the characteristics of the operating environment are moving as faster than they have in my 37 years of service. Right now, the traditional way of doing it, the lead times are just too long. I would cite as an example is our recent program of records that we have established for 3 unmanned systems. They're fine and they're doing well, but we started that requirement back in 2019. So right now we still can use O&M to purchase equipment, but in order to do the full capability, the doctrine, the operations, the training, the manpower that's required, and the sustainment for these programs, it requires our acquisition system to move faster. Anything that can be done on that front would be not only helpful, but I think it would be an imperative.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Admiral Allman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I would also add to General Huntley's that longer dwell money passed over the fiscal year to help finish projects and see them through would be advantageous. And then with respect to Socom, the SOFWERX experiment has been a good foundation for how we interact with industry. And I think most recently, the way we've divided and conquered and worked together as components for unmanned surface vessels and undersea and unmanned aerial vehicles to rapidly develop some capability I think is a highlight for the Joint Force in terms of how Socom can effectively partner with industry, commit our operators who have a depth of combat experience and a very high aptitude and expectation of performance to ensure that the companies that are providing prototypes are actually delivering and making the necessary changes to field something that's operationally fit.
Yeah, thank you. And General Ferguson.
Ma'am, just to wrap up, every one of us at the table, all of our people need the authority to be able to adapt and evolve technology at the edge, employing commercial off-the-shelf solutions. You touched on this already. Instead of being bound by vendor lock, being bound by proprietary software. You mentioned also that we're getting into more software-defined capabilities. You see that in Ukraine. They've not reached the limit of physics, but physics there is a line there that physics draws, so to speak, and so software-defined solutions is really what you're seeing and what we have seen for the last couple of years. I would say that in the 5 weeks of the war with Iran, we probably made about 2 years of progress based off of our ability to adapt rapidly because of where we were and the lack of restrictions from whether it was from what they could actually do with the systems or the areas that they could train with them overseas.
So we need to be able to move at the speed of relevance then?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Senator Slotkin.
General Huntley, I feel like I've paid you to prompt the question, like, where do I train east of the Mississippi? Michigan, northern Michigan is where you train east of the Mississippi. We have the largest multi-domain military exercise east of the Mississippi, the most available airspace, the most available spectrum, and the Army just named our facility up north, the NADWIC, their very first drone testing site in the country. So you are welcome, sir, to come and test. And you can test it all, drone, counter drone. You can test soft boats, all in one facility, robotics, the whole thing. And because it's an area where we're very supportive of this kind of stuff, like, we bring industry in to share with us and work with us as we do things. So anyways, you're more than welcome, all of you, to come, as you should, to Michigan.
Is that the county called Canada?
Yeah, no.
Okay, sorry.
What are you talking about? We were getting along so well up here. I would say I'm interested in your all of your responses a year later from this hearing a year ago, where the Socom commander talked about allies as the pacing item. And I know from my time at the Pentagon that you all work very closely. I think there's 28 plus allies that you all work with. But it's hard to miss that there are a lot of allies who are not with us in the war in Iran. So I'd like you all to testify what has been the operational impact of tensions at the top level, which you are not responsible for. What has that done operationally? Are there any, I'm very aware, General Conley, that as I understand it, allies were very important even in just airspace and for the recovery of the pilot, the downed pilot inside of Iran. So tell me operationally, very honestly, what has changed or had to be amended given Allied reservations about this conflict? And we can start anywhere we'd like.
Thanks, Senator. That's a great question. I'd say you've kind of hit it a little bit already from an aviation lens, where we're often coming from a farther distance or globally, access basing and overflight. I think we've learned a lot over the last couple months that we rely on our partners for lily pads to get us from the United States into wherever we're going. And I think maybe we've taken that for granted to some degree over the years, that the bases are always going to be open for our use. And we've been able to adapt, and we've been able to get the missions complete. But not having the assured access that we're used to with mainly European countries as we transatlantic towards CENTCOM has been something we've had to work hard to make happen.
Senator, where we have our most pronounced relationships right now was within the Republic of the Philippines. We've been there for at least from a MARSOC perspective in force since 2015. We've been through the big counterterrorism fights with them, and recently we've worked very close with them as they look to push back against PRC incursion into their territorial waters, and we're currently working very close with them to help them with deterrence by preparing them for conflict. So right now, I would describe our relationship with the Filipino government and Filipino SOF, along with the rest of the Filipino military, as very strong. It's outside of the areas that may be affected. And then likewise, we're also partnered with a variety of both Somali but also Spanish partners in Somalia right now. But right now, at those levels and where we're operating, we've had minimal impact.
Okay, thank you.
Senator, I would add that we're deployed globally. We are always learning from our partners and trying to seek technological advantage, and so we're doing that in Europe. We're doing that in the Pacific, and really trying to learn and translate those lessons into the current conflict. And I think we've been successful in a few areas, in one-way attack and counter UAS, to improve our own defenses and inability to operate in the CENTCOM AOR.
But just so I'm clear for both General Huntley and Admiral Altman, is it your testimony that there's been no operational impacts in your engagement in the Middle East because of kind of political considerations that are happening at, way above your level? I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. I heard about overflight and access particularly in Europe, but are you both testifying that there's been no changes based on concerns and considerations at the political level?
Senator, we do have relationships within the CENTCOM AOR, but right now they're involved with ongoing operations. So in this setting, I'd be hesitant to talk about that, but I'd be happy in a closed setting or to submit a post-brief.
Okay.
And I would say we are still benefiting from the partners who are housing us there in CENTCOM for a good combined relationship.
Okay.
And ma'am, insofar as we operate jointly most of the time, the things that affect Mike's formations as far as access basing and overflight, those do affect us because we're usually along for the ride. But like my teammates here at the table, we are deployed globally, and our generational relationships with, especially within our special forces formations, those relationships have been around for so long that we have seen I've not seen any impact as far as allies being hesitant to work with us. We've just been on travel we were in Europe just recently, and we're not seeing those kinds of impacts. Thank you.
Thank you. Yield back.
Are you prepared for questions, Senator Sheehy? Okay, go ahead. Senator Budd, thank you.
Thank you. So just to pick up on a question, General Huntley, from an earlier conversation, what additional authorities would you need to better conduct operations against al-Qaeda affiliates in Somalia? I'm thinking about your advise and assist missions that we spoke about with the Somali Army. So what else would you need?
Senator, thank you for that question. And in advance, thank you for what the 127 Delta and Echo authorities that have been granted. Those are incredibly helpful in accomplishing our assigned tasks for the global combatant commanders. But I'll describe it. If we had more freedom of action in that theater, we'd be able to suppress counterterrorism threats, specifically to the homeland, in a quicker manner.
Question for all of you. I asked Admiral Bradley the other day when he was here. I noticed that Socom's O&M has only increased from 9.4 to 10.9 billion, but that's between 2019 and 2027. So it fails to keep pace with inflation, and more importantly, the increased operational tempo that we've seen. So can you talk about some of the top priorities and capabilities? If you had a higher top line, what do you not have now, and what would you get with more? And we'll start with you, Admiral Allman.
Senator, our top priority right now is providing maritime capabilities so that we can project effects in places that nobody else can get to. So that is both in our surface combatant craft, in which we have a modernization effort happening now, and then most impactfully probably in the undersea, and subsea seabed warfare, and how we are seeking to ensure that America retains its asymmetric advantage in the undersea. Our partnership with the submarine force, we've got a new multi-mission dry submersible in the build stages now. These are just expensive platforms that take a significant amount of Socom's resources, but yet provide enormous strategic advantage to our nation.
Senator, to be short, I would accelerate our ability to ingest data, sensor agnostic, and then quickly get to scale. Like I said, we're making good progress right now, but we can't move fast enough.
Thank you, Senator. I would put it in modernization efforts, near-term ones that we've already started, that I believe are cutting edge, that are bringing us capabilities that'll help us win on future battlefields. But just the stop-start sometimes of the budget, we have just enough to keep it going, but not to scale it and move it at a speed that will get it to our airmen quickly.
Yes, Senator. Likewise, for me, it would be transformation, modernization. Just looking at between the Maduro raid and the ongoing operations in Iran, our ability to continue to not keep pace with, but outpace our adversaries so that we can continue to conduct operations like that, special operations, joint special operations raids with impunity, we're only going to be able to do that if we are resourcing, transforming, developing our capabilities for deep and denied area penetration with our rotary wing platforms, space-enabled operations, cyber-enabled operations, both offensive and defensive, counter-UAS capabilities to protect our forces that we projected into denied territory, our ability to sustain those elements in that territory. That's a big laundry list, but those are the things that allow us at right now to be able to execute those types of operations. And so that's what I'm interested in investing in across our formation and really across all of the Socom formations. Thank you, sir.
Senator Sheehy, you're recognized.
Thanks, gentlemen, for being here today. The core capabilities of our broader soft formations are never going to change. Obviously, we're never going to get away from the basics, and we're never going to get away from the need for high-quality individuals across the force. What will be constantly evolving is our need for technology and platforms that empower those missions, like the next generation helicopter, next generation fixed wing, submersibles for both your formations in our force. So how can we budget increase? Of course, as Senator Budd said, no question, we do need a massive increase in Socoms and the component command's baseline budget. But how can we empower with acquisition authorities all of your components more so that we can make sure we're keeping pace with those platform upgrades, whether it's space, cyber, electronic warfare, spectrum, or physical mobility platforms, to make sure that your forces are staying at the cutting edge? Well, what other acquisition authorities do you need?
Yeah, sir, thank you for the question. I'll start. For us, it's probably smaller scale than it is for my teammate Mike here. But I touched on it earlier in answer to Senator Ernst's question. But our ability to adapt and evolve technology at the edge and not be locked by vendors because of acquisition authorities, not be locked into proprietary software, firmware, sensors, those type things, that will make a tremendous difference. When you look at the capability that our forces are going to need to be able to apply on the battlefield, long range, one-way attack, strike capability, et cetera, that takes a lot of activity at the tactical edge by the operators as they continue to adapt and deal with the threats that those systems are going to encounter on the battlefield. And with the current acquisition authorities as they are, we are stuck with proprietary solutions and vendors providing those capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you for that question, Senator. I agree with Gil on this. But I would add, it is one of the areas we're leaning hard into in AFSOC as part of the Defense Autonomous Warfare Group is the long-range one-way capabilities, both air and ground-launched. It might not be acquisition reform or change, but we need help navigating through a system that is not used to buying attritable things. We buy defense systems for life. And then, we go through years and years of sustainment. The future warfare needs more affordable, more attritable things that we can acknowledge that we're going to buy. And in 6 months, a year, maybe 6 weeks, they're going to be outdated. And so our processes are not set up to move fast and acknowledge that, hey, this worked great last week, but next week it's no longer the thing we need, and we need to off-ramp that and bring new things on.
Senator, thank you for that question. I would describe it as the ability to work with a vendor, whether it's big or whether it's something that's emerging, to harness technology and then be able to spiral develop that very quickly into a capability. And then as new technologies come along, having the freedom of action to upgrade to the next capabilities that comes along. The technology is out there, our ability to get our hands on it from a resourcing, and then the time it takes to turn that into a real capability, it's improving, but it's too slow right now.
Senator, I'll just wrap it up by saying I think the top line increase at Socom is responsible because, as you're hearing from us, we divide and conquer to rapidly experiment across different domains and ensure we're not being redundant. And then we collaborate and put the tools into a forward evaluation, determine they work, and then share the outcome of that work.
Well, I think specifically for you, Admiral, I think obviously I'm biased, but 70% of the world is water, and the domain under the sea is an area that we have unique capabilities, both within the Special Operations Enterprise as well as just military-wide. And I think for too long we've taken for granted the fact that we have that capability, but when that capability is asked to become an enterprise with an op tempo reflective of what GWOT was, where the expectation is we can launch operators 24/7, 365, and missions wherever we need them. Our undersea enterprise doesn't have that yet, and we need to get to that because that's the expectation that Admiral Paparo and others will have if we have to, unfortunately, fight a conflict in Westpac. So as you evaluate the undersea enterprise, which of course is a unique component of this to your command, what is it we can do to make sure you're prepared as possible for that conflict?
Yes, sir. While expensive, our undersea systems and our partnership and ability to develop, whether it's robotic vehicles or unmanned undersea vehicles that work in concert with the submarine force, just provide that tremendous capability that can only be found in Naval Special Warfare and our partnership with the subforce. So investments and then allowing us to iterate at a much faster rate to conduct operations multiple times a month, vice what used to be once or twice a year, is what will be necessary to get after the challenges in the undersea.
Well, thanks, gentlemen. I would just reiterate from our level, no matter what the engagement looks like, no matter who the adversary is, whether it's a Navy fight or an aviation fight or a ground war, the soft button is always being pushed, and it's being pushed faster and more often than it ever has before. So your force, your broader enterprise, is going to continue to be called on at a higher op tempo and for the most important missions possible. So be as vocal as you can with us about what you need, because we need you guys more than ever, and we need to make sure you have what you need to get the job done. So thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Senator Sheehy. Senator Kelly.
Well, it sounds like you were probably talking about where my question was going to be, Admiral, about maritime unmanned systems, other advanced platforms that you need. I will just say I've been pushing my Ships for America Act to try to rebuild the maritime industrial base here domestically, so we can improve shipbuilding, but that also extends to the stuff you need. Those kind of capabilities. We require, that workforce. Could you talk a little bit about, just so I know, and you may have already said this today, where are you today in underwater systems and other unmanned systems, and where do you want to be, let's say, 5 or 10 years in the future?
Thank you, Senator. We have been making progress in our undersea assets, but we have a significant build coming up in our multi-mission dry combat submersible, which will partner with the Virginia class and give us access to nearly anywhere on the planet we need to go in the undersea. And so that investment is just beginning. And so that capability will return to a capability we had in the early 2000s that is just so strategically important that the investment in both the platforms and the MILCON that will be necessary to launch and recovery of the platform is probably our most significant needs.
Yeah. Have you given any thought to, this might sound crazy, I've given a little thought as the cost to launch, to get into orbit continues to go down and might go down significantly enough at some point that if you guys ever wanted to get somewhere really, really fast, if we were willing to commit, I'm talking maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, commit to keeping something somewhere on a pad and ready to go, you could get somewhere in 20 minutes. You guys ever talk about like these crazy ideas?
I'll defer to my AFSOC colleague here, but
yeah.
Senator, thanks for the questions. Good seeing you again.
See you.
We're looking at it. We look at it from a rocket cargo type of lens. How could we get it across the world in minutes and not days? But not deep thought into it yet. We've dabbled in some con-op development and trying to figure out what it might look in order to service the other soft partners. But we're probably a ways away from investing AFSOC money in it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It gets cheaper every day.
Yeah, as it gets cheaper, it's something we could even maybe get people on the other side of the planet very quickly. 40 minutes anywhere. I was thinking Navy. It's a ship. It's a space ship, Tim.
from seabed to space.
I know you would sign up to do this. Yeah. And then, General, just on the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago at the Power Projection Wing, I was talking to Admiral Anderson just today, AFRICOM commander about the OA1K and the ability to, with that platform, to be able to, put some effects on a target. And it seems like it's well suited, obviously, for special ops. That's why it's in the power projected wing here. Could you give me a little update on where we are with standing up the wing at Davis-Monthan?
Yes, Senator, I certainly can. So we just took possession of our 18th OA1K, and I think from an operational perspective, you're right. We have yet to put it into combat. We're still building out the initial cadre and training crews. I think it'll provide combatant commanders a Swiss Army knife capability where one day it could do exquisite SIGINT, collect intel, ISR things, and also be armed with up to 6,000 pounds of payload, whether that's Hellfires, rockets, maybe some small cruise missiles that we're working on. So I think, it provides the ground force commander lots of options at a very affordable price point. Flight hours that are roughly 50% less cost per hour than an MQ-9 even. Mm-hmm. As far as Davis-Monthan, we have already planted some seed corn out there with our personnel to build it out next summer. Our wing commander will take command of the wing out at Davis-Monthan. We will get our first OA1K delivered out there later this fall. Our first two operational OA1K squadrons will be at Davis-Monthan, and then we're working through the environmental analysis with the recommendation to move a CV-22 squadron out there.
Great. I was in Jordan a couple years ago, and they had some sitting on the ramp, some of the air tractors, and they had a lot of stuff hanging off of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Moody.
Thank you so much. Great to see you, gentlemen. I will just note that I was born and raised in Hillsborough County, Florida, where Socom has been headquartered since 1987, since its inception. Great things come out of Hillsborough County, Florida. It's great to see you again. I was really interested in some of the comments that you made regarding the need to, the way we approach procurement of weapons, resources for the military, and the way we look at that. It might not be something we get and we maintain for years and years and years. It's a totally different mindset, and you said we need to address that. And then I think there was also this understanding that we need to have some more real-time, once we get these assets, we need to have some more real-time interaction with maybe the manufacturers as we're tweaking or maintaining or dealing with the technology or the actual hardware. And so I'm kind of going a little bit off what I intended to ask, and I'd like to hear from all of you really, but specifically the two that made those comments. Is it something that in our statutes we need to address regarding procurement? Is it something within the military itself and how you go about doing those things? Like, what is it that we can do to help with that? You just talked about those issues that we need to kind of reframe how we approach it, and we need to have more engagement with the manufacturers. So how do we help you build on that, as opposed to just commenting that it's a problem? What can we do tangibly to help you solve that? And we'll just start down and work.
Yes, ma'am. Without diving into statutory authorities that I will be unfamiliar with, the biggest challenge that we face, at least within the majority of our formations, is it's the inability of the operator at the edge to have the authority to tinker. I would use that word, to tinker with the system. If a system is employed and it fails, we don't have the ability to apply the know-how that our individuals have, the expertise that they have, both for their craft and potentially even that particular system, to develop solutions to potentially resolve whatever challenge that system is having. And specifically, I'm thinking of unmanned systems right now, mainly unmanned aerial systems. And so we are bound right now to the actual vendor of that system that has the proprietary capability. And so So what we are looking for is an ability for our people at the edge to have the right to repair. I know the Secretary of the Army spoke about that earlier today. That's really what we're driving at with most of our formation, ma'am.
Thanks, Senator. It's good to see you again. I would expand on that. So from an Air Force lens, again, I don't know if I could speak to statutory changes, but from an Air Force lens, we tend to buy things for many years. So if you look at the Air Force fleet right now, not just the AFSOC fleet, which is relatively healthy compared to the rest of the Air Force, we're flying planes that are 50, 60, 70 years old. And what I have in my large fleet I'll just use C-130s as an example. I've got 2 exquisite variants of that I can do a lot of things with. I want to be able to use untapped capacity within those airframes to do new things. So if I want to put a long-range small cruise missile on one of those aircraft that can fire at a target 500, 600, 700 miles away, I want to be able to iterate quickly on the software within that. And as General Ferguson mentioned, often working with the large vendors, there's proprietary information to get into the mission computers. We hit walls that small vendors that are trying to move fast and give us those capabilities sometimes get out-muscled by the bigger vendors, and they can't break through. So that doesn't mean the bigger vendors aren't great partners. It's just the business model that they use. And so any help we could get, encouraging, the ability to partner with smaller companies on the
offline, that would be really helpful. I think I would really like to know, I think my colleagues would like to know which big vendors you're speaking of that are making it harder for our military men and women to do their jobs because they cannot address what we've spent so much money acquiring to make it work for what we need in a particular mission or in a modification. I would be very interested to know what are the top folks that are giving us a hard time.
Okay.
Senator, thank you for the question. As I talked about before, having the ability to be able to acquire new technologies quickly, whether it's from a small vendor or whether it's from a more traditional vendor, and then be able to incorporate that into an operational capability. The quicker we can do that, the better it would be. A great example would be, I talked about before, our ability to do targeting at scale, leveraging a variety of sensors to be able to put it onto one pane of glass and interface with the Joint Fires Network. Our partnership with that was with a relatively small company that was unknown, that was just really an emerging name in the AI field. So it's really a software thing. But they had basically a capability, not necessarily purpose-built for what we needed it for, but the partnership that we had with them has allowed us to be able to move forward in the development of that. In a perfect world, or in a better world, we'd be able to do that and move it quicker to a real capability. The same thing could be said at the tactical side. For wherever our people fight in the future, the folks across the field for them are going to have capabilities at the tactical edge that we haven't seen before. When you see some of the stuff that the cartels have, or the things that we see Al-Shabaab or some of the other people of that ilk having. A great example would be small UASs, right? They're out there. I can buy them right now. I can put them in the hands of our operators. But the ability to kind of adapt them and make them a real military capability at some form of scale is very challenging right now. So anything that we can do, of course, on the military side, we'll do our part. But anything that allows us to move faster from a statutory perspective would be very helpful.
Thank you. They're telling me my time has expired, so I'm trying to be mindful. Not that I don't want to hear all that you have.
No, actually, Admiral, if you would respond, please. Thank you.
I think the team covered it. It is challenging because we have a high expectation. We're forcing, whether it's a small company or a mid-grade company, to iterate with us with no true commitment to a number of platforms until they deliver. So a little bit of a paradigm shift from a requirement through a long dwell program where whoever the business or company is has a multi-year expectation of payment.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And I'll turn to the ranking member for any closing comments.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for all you're doing. I know you're incredibly busy. Appreciate your time and what you do every day.
Can I ask one?
Absolutely. Very quickly.
I know
Senator,
she wants to.
Very quickly, Senator Sheehy.
You have a cocktail hour to be at?
We have an ag committee.
Okay.
All right. What year of car do you drive, General Conley?
Depends on the day.
What's your daily driver?
Sometimes it's a 1998 Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
Other times it's a 2025 Telluride.
How about you, Gil?
I got a 2004 Chevy Suburban and a 2016 Chevy SS.
What's the average age of the little birds, helicopters that are under your purview?
Much older than that.
What's the average age of your C-130 airframes?
We're blessed on the C-130 side because we've recapped our entire fleet. So most of them are less than 10 years old. All of them are less than 10 years old. So we're blessed there. I can't complain when I look across to my Air Force teammates.
When was the last time you got an iPhone, a new iPhone?
2 years ago.
Right, yeah. So we upgrade the average age of a U.S. airliner is 15 years that carries passengers. Most of us probably get a new smartphone every other year, and most of us probably drive cars less than 10 years old. Yet we send our best troops into combat in helicopters that are half-century old sometimes, maybe a little less. We wouldn't drive to work every day in a car that old, but we send our guys downrange in helicopters that old. And we drive mini subs that were around when Nixon was president. So I think we make do a lot of amazing things with little stuff. It's time we get the force they need. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. This is my 12th year in the Senate. All 12 years I've served on the Emerging Threats and Capabilities Subcommittee. And as I close out this year in my time in the United States Senate, I just want to say thank you so much. I have served as a member of the Senate alongside some of the most incredible leaders that Socom has offered up to our nation, and truly appreciate each one of you, to your senior enlisted members, to all of your teammates, your support personnel, the civilians that work across the force. You know, our deepest thanks to all of them. We often think in terms of actions in conflict, you know, how many enemy killed and so forth. But I would love to know someday the statistic on how many lives have been saved through the actions of Socom and your members, because we truly don't focus on that enough. We ask a lot of you, and God willing, you always produce. And thank you so much for your time and service, for being here with us today. And it has been such a privilege to be with all of you. And if I can ask of a chairman's favor, it is a tradition that we take a photo with all of our commanders in Socom, as well as their senior enlisted members. If you brought chiefs, if you brought whoever with you, let's include them in a final photo as well. But God bless you all, and to your entire teams. We truly appreciate you. Thank you. And that concludes the subcommittee hearing.